G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome to what is probably the most Russian-biased tank in the entire game. Yes, this tank is so good that it rivals the penetration of some of its counterparts with 5-round magazines. Yes, that's right, we're having a look at the ZUT. It's a piece of shit. It's absolute garbage. This thing, man. Oh, God. Where do I start? So, let's have a look at this thing. It is on your screen right now. It's got a bucket. It doesn't need a log. It's got a bucket. If that doesn't scream Russian bias, I think this is one of the only tanks in the entire game with a bucket. No other nation in the game gets buckets on their tanks. And that is just the highest form of Russian bias. This tank is open-topped. You can see the gun is on the very top of the tank. So if you aim down and use your 3 degrees of gun depression, you expose that breech. Yes, this is how bad it is. It is quick in a straight line, as you can see. Like it is nice. But there's the other thing. You can see that right there. The turret traverse is garbage. Now, one of the things that this tank is pretty good at is cutting off rotations. Now, what do I mean by rotation? Basically, enemies trying to flank, enemies trying to push, enemies trying to change their position. And this is exactly what it's for. And as you can see, the reticule screws up and I miss another one. I decide to roll back a little bit and I miss the other one. Nothing is going well so far. I switch to the map. Someone goes by. I decide to traverse the turret and someone rolls by. I've missed something like 4 or 5 enemy tanks because I've been adjusting stuff. Look, there goes the T-17. Oh my god. This tank is ridiculous. It's so much fun, but it's so derpy as well. Like, look at this stuff. Right. The best bit is, see the guy to the left of me. Everyone's just driven. Oh god! Everyone's just driven past me. Look at that. There's a Crusader there. There's a Chinu or Chihei or whatever it is. There's a Valentine. There's a T-17. There's a Stuart. I was half expecting someone to come up behind me, honestly. That Valentine has surprisingly strong armor at the back of its turret, so I wasn't able to pen that first. So I managed to disable it with a shot to the rear. And as you can see, I've only got 5-round bursts. So this thing is not easy to use at all. I go for the turret ring and I get a nice kill there. Go for the back of the turret, the Chihei. And then he decides to turn because, you know, if someone's shooting me from behind, might as well give him my side. To be fair, he probably didn't realize that I was right behind him. But, oh man, I love low tier. So, the question you might be asking is, why the hell am I playing this thing? Well, first of all, because I've never actually played it before. I haven't played it on the channel, I haven't played it in the game at all, until just today. And it's been hilarious. But another reason is because I was low on Silver Lions. Now, you might be asking, why the hell am I using this thing to grind out Silver Lions? Simply for a video and the fun factor, really. That was the main thing. And as you can see, for some reason, you can pen a Valentine from the upper front plate from incredible distances. That's not bad for a 37mm SPAA. Yes, this is an SPAA, by the way. This thing is the most ridiculous tank in the game, but it's hilarious. It is so much fun to just romp around at 2.7 after you've been playing high tier all day, all week, all year, struggling, sort of playing properly, you know, and instead of really going hard and actually giving it your best, just taking your load off and having a bit of fun is really, really quite refreshing. And what better way to do it in a tank that has a bloody bucket on it? Like, come on. You can't get much better. Look how ridiculous this thing looks. It's got 2 engines. It's got 2 engines and 2 crew and a massive transmission. It is really, really quick. And you can use it as an effective tank destroyer because it's got up to 70mm of pen. Although that really, really starts to drop off as you get the distance. Now, that there is a 105 Sherman. And as you can recall, the 105 Sherman is extremely deadly from the front because it's an M4A3 at battle rating 3 point something. That used to be 4.0. Now it's 3.0 or 2.7 or something like that. And painting it from the side, no FPE, so he just burns down. Lovely. Perfect. This tank is an absolutely wonderful meme tank. And if you're looking for something to take a load off from the high tier grind, this is really the thing. This is one of the most enjoyable tanks to play. Not necessarily because it's good. Like, you can see it's got some major flaws. The turret doesn't traverse. It's open topped. It has 2 crews, so the crew replenishment is pointless. One of the issues with this tank is it's just not great. It's terrible. It's an SPAA. But it is a better tank destroyer than it is an SPAA, and that seems to be a running theme with Russian anti-air vehicles. Although, in this case, it's more just down to its poor design. I believe this is a strange prototype, and it really is strange. It's just gorgeous. So, 7 kills in one match. I mean, yes, most of the enemies were blind, but still, this thing, you can have so much fun in it. And you don't have to take the game seriously, but you can still do well and you can still make a sort of contribution to your team. And that, for me, is one of the perfect tanks in the game. And the thing that makes a good tank. You can still romp around, you can still have a little bit of fun, you can still be derpy, but you can still make a contribution to your team. And that is the really important thing. Because at the end of the day, there are some people who need to grind, some people who need to win. And in consideration for them, especially considering how frustrating the grind can be sometimes, it is a really, really good vehicle to sneak around with. Now, of course, this is a low tier and everyone's, having a bit of fun derping around. But me being a reasonably, competitive person, I like to take things really seriously. And if I see someone, troll squatting or something like that, I'm not really impressed, to be honest. It's not really that entertaining to me. And seeing a Zut in the game, yes, that's what it's called, ZUT37. It's both a meme tank and it's fun at the same time as being reasonable. It's not a particularly good vehicle, but it can really pop off if given the right situations. And as you can see in the previous clip, I popped off. And that's just the beauty of this tank. It has all the meme factors going for it. It's an SPAA, it's Russian, it's low BR. It has 70 millimeters of pen, which rivals the German autocannon, the German 20mm autocannon. It has 2 crew, so whatever, you get shot, you die. Although, if you do get shot from the right-hand side, you tend to survive a little bit more because the transmission and engine soak it up. And that is a really, really interesting little thing. That's something really cool. Not only that, but a lot of the time, a lot of people come from World of Tanks, and they still haven't figured out that APCR is a garbage shell. So they're firing APCR at a sloped front, they're firing APCR at angled armor, and they're not penetrating. So they're, you actually have armor, which is hilarious. Because you'd never expect an SPAA to have any sort of armor except for perhaps a Coelian or the Flak Panzer 341. And even then, it's 6.7 and it's got Panther armor, so it's not really that strong. This thing can really pop off. It's so ridiculous, but you got to be careful at range. Oh man, this thing suffers. And of course, that's to be expected. It's a 37mm autocannon. Now, you can see what I've loaded out. I've basically gone with a mainly AP loadout, and I've got about 10 clips of HE, basically for the stray plane that I want to shoot down. But you could probably do it with the AP shell just as well. I haven't shot down any planes yet, which is hilarious because this thing is an SPAA. But this thing is so ridiculous. It's so much fun, and it's dirt cheap too. I think it's something like 1,000 golden eagles, if that, maybe 500. And if you get it on a discount, I think I got mine on a 75% discount, and it's just hilarious because you pay bugger all for a tank, and it gives you so much fun. This is probably one of the tanks to use if you're going to wind down from a patch grind, especially considering that this patch, you've got a lot of high-tier vehicles, T2, Leopard 2A5, T80U, Chunguska, M1A1, extra missiles for your rank 6 vehicles, extra missiles for the Cougar, the FJ4. It does drag on you, and it does really hamper your feelings to play this game. And naturally, that's just something that naturally happens because the more you play, the more you sort of experience things and you get burnt out. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly natural. One thing that a good friend of mine, the European Canadian, does is he goes into user missions and, downloads a bunch of user missions, plays them, has some fun, winds down that way. Now, for me, I, again, like to be a little bit competitive. I like to get kills, I like to sort of pop off and frag out a little bit, and playing derpy vehicles like this in an unconventional manner is the perfect way for me to wind down. And personally, I don't think I would have it any other way. This little beast is hilarious. Look how long the cannon is. That is probably the longest cannon for any SPAA. You can see where it starts and where it finishes, and maybe the Gepard rivals it in comparison to hull size. I love it, man. It's just hilarious. I don't know what else to say about it apart from it's just hilarious. It's fun. It's something that everyone can enjoy. It's a low tier vehicle. You can pad it out with a good lineup if you want. You can play it competitively. You can use it to grind. You can just have fun, And that's one of the things that a lot of people, especially when they grind, seem to miss out on. War Thunder tends to be very competitive and tends to be very kills focused and grind focused. And one of the things that you really miss out is just derping around at low tiers. And one of the things that also happens is the more you play the game, the more you sort of forget these low tiers. And it's really sad because playing these low tiers sort of brings me back, It brings me back to when I was a newbie and running around in my A13 and running around in my early T34s, looking at that IS-2 and going, man, I really want that tank. And working up to the IS-3 and working up to the IS-4 and the T10M. Back in the day, there wasn't a rank 6, and, this just brings it all back. It's a real nostalgia trip playing low tier again. And honestly, I don't see why people shouldn't go back to low tier. They do say low tier, fun tier for a very, very good reason. And it's so true. It is so true. So if you're feeling burnt out, you've always got the low tier, fun tier. You've always got a little derp vehicle, something that you can use. Perhaps it's a Daimler armored car. Perhaps it's, the Tetrarch. Perhaps it's the BT5. Perhaps it's the RBT5 if you've got that. The list of possibilities are truly endless with War Thunder because we all together, we have 1,100 plus vehicles, maybe 1,300 vehicles at this stage. And one of the things that you really need to consider when you're playing the game for long periods of time is, am I going to burn out? And do you really want to burn out on this game, especially if you invest a lot of time? And one of the things that you find is that after a long period of time, you do start to sort of become negative about the game. And that's natural. Although sometimes it is down to your own fault. Maybe you're playing too much of the wrong thing. Maybe you're just playing too many missed air games. Maybe you're just playing too many, AMX 10 RCs or Challenger 2 or Challenger 1 or Swingfire, maybe. Maybe you're just not having fun in the right places. And one of the things that you can really use to alleviate that frustration is by jumping back into low tier. Having a bit of fun, jumping into T34, a ZUT, some of those things, and you just get a greater appreciation for all the vehicles in the game. And remember, the devs do put effort into every one of these vehicles, including this ZUT piece of garbage. And honestly, it's hilarious. It's a piece of garbage, but I love it. Honestly, it has pretty much freshened me up a little bit, and I'm feeling a bit more ready to grind a little bit more. Even though, Gaijin, as part of the content partner program, does supply some vehicles for me to use in videos, but honestly, for those of us that still have to grind a lot, we're no Fly Daily. Fly, and he's lucky enough to not have to grind. Now, the problem, or the thing is, when you get burnt out and when you stop grinding, you tend to sort of become disenfranchised. And jumping back into Chaika, playing some Russian music or something like that, some hard bass, Uami. It's so refreshing. It's just so nice. And honestly, I miss this low tier, and I miss the nostalgia. It's great. It's great. I would highly recommend everyone gives it a try. And the Zut is just, it's a spicy little vehicle. I'd suggest, and I'd recommend everyone to give it a go and buy it maybe if you're feeling up to it. If not, there are always tech tree equivalents. And for the ZUT, it's probably some of the meme the meme cars, the Gaz trucks. Or alternatively, you could go with a T28 or an SMK or something. And I was looking for something sort of low tier and memey to do a video on, and the ZUT came into mind. And it's just, I'm really glad I discovered this vehicle. I'm really glad that I bought it, and I'm really, really glad that I was able to give it a go and have some fun with it, because I do not regret it in the slightest, and I don't think anyone else will as well. It's fun. And it's wonderful. It's very rewarding. So, ladies and gents, if you feel, if you're feeling burnt out, there's always low tier, and there's always something small at low tier. There are scouting vehicles at low tier. There are good SPAA at low tier. There's good CAS at low tier. There's a bit of everything, and that is one of the things that I think people overlook. Give it a go again, and you're going to really, really enjoy yourself. I think there's something for everyone. And one of the things that people miss out on a lot is that low tier and a bit of that nostalgia to sort of rekindle your fire for the game. Anyway, ladies and gents, I seriously hope you enjoyed. I do recommend the Zut. So, if you're feeling stuck, go for it. It's a good vehicle. Anyway, ladies and gents, take care. Russian bias is real, and I'll catch you next time.